Today I was given the keys to a Range Rover SVR from JLR's Special Vehicle Operations Department. And from the outside it looks like a Range Rover Sport. 4 wheels, 4 doors, 5 seats, but what makes a special vehicle special is what's under the bonnet. Jaguar's 5 litre supercharged V8 that produces 542 brake horsepower. So it's not just a Range Rover Sport, it's a Rhino. It's a prop forward, but is it a driver's car? Because to me, it just seems like a Range Rover with a huge amount of power. And you might think, great, power is good, and you wouldn't be wrong, but props like Rhinos aren't known for their coordination. So is this just going to be a clumsy brute, or will there be some twinkling footwork to match the power? Well, before we get into that, let's focus on the things that are done right. First things first, this is a Range Rover. If you listen very closely, you can hear, yep, absolutely nothing. The deathly quiet cabin and the driving position make you feel like a landowner. There's a comfort to Range Rovers that I don't think is very easily beatable. And unlike most cars, 4 adults can travel in complete comfort. You could argue 5, you could even argue 7, although the one I'm in is only 5 seats. Of course, there are heated seats front and in the back. There's plush leather everywhere. It has a digital dash. There's a Meridian sound system. The central console is a really nice design, I think. And yes, the screen is a little bit clunky on the touchscreen, but it has all the tech and all the spec that you could possibly need. This version even has deployable side steps, so the vertically challenged among us can get into the car without a run and a jump. So then, it's a Range Rover, solid, comfortable, and when nothing's going wrong, capable. But then there's that badge, SVR, Special Vehicle Racing. So let me just twist this, paint the dials red, and see what's what. Oh my god. Oh my god, this thing is absolutely nuts. Why is a £100,000 car trying to do a wheelie? Why am I this high off the road doing 0 to 60 in 4.5? Oh my god. This is an animal. None of that makes sense. This thing weighs over 2 tons and I've been driving about an hour, and I would say I've not seen one person who would comfortably have this thing beat. Oh my lord. Well, I just want to knock that left and use my paddles for a moment, so change down into 5th, into 4th. Oh my god, this thing is an absolute animal. Oh, the tune from that V8 is unbelievable. It's got such a grunt to it. You often see SVRs kind of pull away from you for a few seconds, and it's like a machine gun. When you're inside it, the sound is exactly the same. You think, I wonder if they can hear that in the cabin. Yes, you can hear that in the cabin. Here we go. So we're going to go for another little launch here. I will compose myself eventually, I promise. Oh, even at slow revs, that noise. Okay, so as you can see, this is crazy, but let me try and compose myself and answer the question that I set out to answer. Is this an uncoordinated Rhino, or is it actually composed? Is it a driver's car? Can you use the thing? So here we go. Now let me effectively throw this into a corner, quite high up. Okay, that is actually much less body roll than I would have thought. When you're in the Vogues, they do float around like a big boat, but that actually feels quite direct. Left-hander here. Yeah, the steering feels pretty direct. In a way, mostly kind of when you review cars, slight kind of give in the steering and it not being direct, you would argue that, well, it doesn't feel as direct or as immediate as you would hope. But in a car that is this high off the ground, that could actually be a benefit. I don't think at kind of 60 mile an hour in this car, you would really want every millimeter on the steering to dart the car in a certain direction. I'm not going to pretend it feels as planted as kind of, or level as a supercar that was built with 500 horsepower in mind. But as far as Range Rovers go, this feels pretty direct. This feels like a driver's car. Now, one of the reasons, oh, that's big. you have to remember you're actually not in something small. The way it performs, you think, oh, it's not a Range Rover, but you're still in a huge 2-ton Range Rover. But what I was going to say was, one of the reasons this is so level and balanced through the corners, and I've been preparing myself for this piece of narrative, is thanks to the magnetoriological dampers. Now, the pronunciation is actually much harder than the explanation. All it means is there is a fluid that can change viscosity in the dampers based on an electromagnetic input. So as you go round the corner, sensors on the car can feel the road conditions, feel the damper, and kind of make the fluid thicker or less thick, change the viscosity, so each wheel is more planted to the road. Now, this active damper tech was actually debuted in the SVR for Land Rover, and when you hear a list or even a few examples of the cars that also have MR damper tech, it finds itself in quite good company. You have the 599 GTB, you have the Ferrari F12 Berlinetta, you have the Ferrari 458, you have the Audi R8, you have the Corvette, the Camaro, you have the Huracan, all kind of natural supercars meant to be level, meant to be racy. You can see that the people at SVO weren't messing around. They wanted this to be, come on, after you. Oh, he's got, there we go. They wanted this, I say, to be refined with that exhaust tone. They wanted this to be a driver's car. They didn't want this to be a clumsy, tall muscle car on stilts. They wanted this to drive like a little race car. And I have to say, they've done a bloody good job. This is a 2016, so really this is one of their first attempts at an SVR. It's a little bit less comfortable at cruising speed than a Vogue or a normal Sport, but I mean, it's a small price to pay. Oh, for that noise on demand. This car is nuts. The German purists among you might point to the X5M or the Porsche Cayenne Turbo, and the millionaires might point to the Urus and the Bentayga and the Cullinan, but let me stake my preference on home British soil. The Range Rover SVR is my favourite Indian SUV. Wait a minute.